A career in consulting is the dream of many students. But the recruiting process is notoriously difficult, and so it seems like an elusive dream. One thing is clear, it can be intimidating. Many won't make it, and it's a tough battle.
I sense much fear in you.
But there is hope.
Help me Case Interview Hub. You're my only hope.
We will guide you, shed light on how this process works and what you need to succeed, so that you can use the Force and slay the dragon. To scope this discussion, let's briefly talk about the different jobs in consulting firms. It isn't just consultants, even though we'll focus on them in this video. Like in any company, you'll have many people in the back office making sure everything runs smoothly. This would be human resources, finance, and administrative assistants, but also, for example, people that do visual graphics and help consultants produce slides. Then you have knowledge professionals. They do research and provide consultants with key insights on different industries, functions, or geographies. Next, there are specialist roles. They didn't exist in consulting 20 years ago, but with the constantly growing offering of consulting firms, they've become indispensable for many projects. These could be programmers, designers, or data engineers, and they often have client exposure. And finally, the core of any consulting firm, the consultants. These are the professionals that are doing the actual project work on a day-to-day basis. If someone talks about consulting, this is the role they're typically talking about. And that's what we're talking about as well. Now, let's briefly outline the qualities of a consultant. Remember, the whole recruiting process revolves around identifying people with these qualities, which is why it's worth discussing. What consulting firms are looking for in applicants is not an exact science, but it's typically a mix of intelligence, ambition, perseverance, professionalism, structured thinking, and people skills. Why are these important? Well, let's take them one by one. First, intelligence.
Are you stupid or something?
You'll be responsible for analysis that clients pay a lot of money for, and you need to have the intellectual horsepower to handle that. Also, you need to immerse yourself in new topics extremely quickly. Number 2, ambition.
I'm in the empire business.
As a consultant, you can actually create lasting positive impact for clients. Intrinsic motivation and the willingness to go the extra mile is a major prerequisite for that. Number 3, perseverance.
Look! Just a flesh wound.
You'll be in challenging situations frequently, and you need the stamina to execute a project diligently, even if it's tough. Not just phoning it in, upholding your highest standards. Number 4, professionalism.
Special Ops duty reporting.
You'll be confronted with clients that are not happy to see you, but you should always maintain a high degree of professionalism. Anything you say and write should reflect respect for clients and colleagues. Number 5, structured thinking.
I love it when a plan comes together.
You'll soon be swamped with tasks and competing priorities. It's your job to get on top of things and manage your time, your work, and sooner or later, also your team. And number 6, people skills.
Batman works alone.
You need people to collaborate with you, clients as well as co-workers. People you typically have no formal authority over, and you need to be empathetic to their needs and motivations in order to convince them. You see, it's quite a tall order, and reliably assessing all of these qualities in a recruiting process is a big challenge for consulting firms. Alright, let's dive into the hiring process. We assume you already have a strong enough profile for consulting firms to consider you. Discussing what such a profile looks like would by itself fill a whole new video. But if you already have questions, leave us a comment or check our website for more info. The hiring process, naturally, starts with an application. The most important part of the application is your CV. You should also include a cover letter, but it's much less important. Visit our website where we discuss CVs and give you detailed tips and tricks. Once you pass the initial screening, there's typically an intermediate step before the big interview rounds. In this intermediate step, you may have an interview with human resources, a short case, a test, or even a game, potentially also a mix of multiple elements. The idea behind this entire step is to weed out candidates with lower chances of success before admitting them to the main part of the process. Of course, none of these games, tests, or pre-interviews are super reliable, so it's really just a first filter to save time and money. You should avoid doing terribly, but there's usually no need to crush them. Once you successfully pass this intermediate step, you're in the main part of the process. You could have one big day of interviews, or you could have 2 rounds with multiple interviews each, maybe some weeks apart. In any case, you'll have to go through a gauntlet of interviews. Even though they're all pretty similar, you still need to go through a total of at least 3 of them, sometimes as many as 6. The reason is that passing 1 could be a fluke, but passing 5 or 6 cannot happen by accident. That's why, for decades, this fundamental process hasn't changed, and it won't change anytime soon. And if you pass all of that, you'll be rewarded with an offer. So overall, it looks similar everywhere. Here are a few actual hiring processes that we observed recently. They may look different for different levels of seniority or different offices, but they give a pretty good picture. At McKinsey, for example, there's an intermediate step with an interview and the McKinsey problem-solving game. If that's successful, there's the main part, where candidates have 3 interviews in the morning. If that's successful again, there's a final round in the afternoon with 1 or 2 more interviews. At Bain, you have a pre-round with an aptitude test. If that's positive, there's a main part starting with 3 short interviews. If all of that was successful, there's a final round with 3 full interviews. At BCG, there's a preliminary round with an HR interview about your experience and motivation, as well as an online case delivered via a chatbot. For the main part, there are 2 classic interviews, and if successful, a final round with another 2 interviews. And that's again the same for all firms. If all of the interviewers in the final round agree on a positive assessment, you'll get an offer. Now that we know the basic steps of the hiring process, let's look at one individual interview. A full-blown consulting interview takes about 1 hour and typically looks something like this. First, there's a brief intro in which you can break the ice with the interviewer.
Allow me to break the ice.
Then there's the so-called personal fit interview. In the personal fit interview, you may answer classic questions about your motivation or your strengths and weaknesses. Or you talk about your past experiences. Consulting firms have realized that the best predictor for future behavior is past behavior. So they'll poke around in your past for interesting stories about leadership, about overcoming obstacles, or about a challenging situation in a team.
Is quite a story.
Followed by that, there's the famous case interview. This is what many people are already somewhat familiar with. You have to solve a hypothetical business problem by interacting with the interviewer, requesting and structuring information, analyzing data, and coming up with ideas.
He's a very smart man.
Entire books have been written about case interviews, and there's a lot of talk about it out there, also by people who've never worked in consulting. Our website, caseinterviewhub.com, is dedicated to case interviews, and we want to give you the insider's perspective. Once all of that is done, there are typically a few minutes left, in which you as a candidate can ask questions about the job or something about the interviewer's personal experience.
God, tell me everything.
And that's a classic consulting interview. Once again, this is just one interview, and over the entire process, you'll have to go through 3 to 6 of them. They may look slightly different from firm to firm and office to office, but they're all designed to test the qualities we highlighted earlier. And because personal fit and case interviews do that so well, all firms from MBB to Tier 2 continue to use them. So there you have it. This is, in very broad strokes, the process how you can make it to a top consulting firm. There's much to be said about the individual steps, such as how to write a great CV, how to shine in the personal fit interview, and how to do well in case interviews. We'll produce more content on all of this, but you can already check out our website for more. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and activate the bell for more content like this. Let us know in the comments below if you have any questions or if there's a topic you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.